I do not like suits, but I was told on a number of occasions by people that folks will listen to you if you play the part. So, for this last portion of my film, I would like to be wearing this suit coat, so I'm sort of dressed my best. What I'm wearing is not important. The message that I have for you is. Many of you know this is a public service announcement warning you about the dangers of consuming alcoholic beverages. Some people, like I have stated earlier, practice moderation, which means that they have the capacity to drink socially or drink at parties and not overdo it. They can have 1, 2, or 3 beers and then stop. It's good for them, you know. But if you have an issue, if you're drinking to forget about your problems, or if you believe, if people tell you that you have a drinking problem, and you shrug them off and shy them away and tell them that they're incorrect, you might want to think about your life and what direction it's headed in. Because if your friends tell you that you have a problem with your drinking and you refuse to believe them, I don't want you to wake up one day and for it to be too late. People die because of alcohol, you know. There's the classic, somebody drank too much, or somebody got alcohol poisoning and then they died from it. And then there's somebody drank a lot and then they decided to drive, or somebody was completely sober and decided to drive, and then somebody who was drunk driving crashed into them. And there's a million ways that you can be under the influence of alcohol and then wind up not alive, or dead, if you will. It's a dangerous beverage to consume. You're always taking a risk, whether you drink a drop or a gallon. To me, there's no safe amount. To others, there's amounts that they can cope with. And then to others still, they ignore the fact that they've got an issue and that they've got a problem, and they continue to drink. I'm speaking to anyone who has an issue with their drinking, who thinks that they drink too much. Please, I would want for you to seek counseling or to seek help from a professional. There's Alcoholics Anonymous. You can go to the AA meetings. They will provide you with the tools, you know, the 12-step program. I just don't want to see another life ruined by alcohol. For as long as it has existed, alcohol has been ruining lives, because there are people who get drunk and then they come home and they beat on their wife or they beat on their kids, and I don't agree with that. Those same people wouldn't dare harm their wife or their children while they were in a sober mind frame or mindset. But they blame it on the alcohol. They go out and they consume, and then when they return home, they use the alcohol as a scapegoat. Women, if you're out there and you're being abused by an alcoholic boyfriend, an alcoholic husband, an alcoholic friend, I know that you care about that person if they're in your life, and they obviously don't care about you if you're letting them do this to you. If you really cared about them, then you would get them the help that they need. Sometimes that means hurting the ones that we love. If if there was a woman in my life who drank a lot and then came home and then beat on me, whether she were my girlfriend, my friend, very unlikely if she were my wife, I would have to call the authority, call the law on her, because nobody has the right to beat on you or your children. There's no excuses. Alcohol is not a scapegoat. If they're using alcohol, it's not a scapegoat, it's a problem. And there's a solution to that problem. Even if they're not going to quit drinking, you can stop seeing that person. Or if they're not going to quit drinking, that person will stop seeing you. Because if you call the police, and you call the cops, and you get the law involved, they will take that person into custody, and that is a crime. It is against the law for someone to beat on you, whether they are intoxicated or whether they're sober. I'm against people who are abusive towards women. I'm against women who are abusive towards men. I'm against all of that negativity that comes from alcohol, or from even having a problem with anger management, those anger management issues. You need to contain yourself, you need to pray for patience, you need to get under control and show some dignity and some class and some honor in your life. No one will respect you if you beat on women and children. No one will respect you if you are an alcoholic. Nobody puts alcoholics as their role models. Nobody looks up to alcoholics and says, yeah, I want to be like that guy. You can only be an alcoholic so long in your life, even if you are a successful one, before it comes back to bite you in the ass. And no alcoholic should be looked up to as a role model by children or by people. You know, look at all the superheroes. Sure, they're a fictional character and basis, but none of them are alcoholics. I mean, Tony Stark is an alcoholic as Iron Man, and that's one of his flaws. Pointed out that he could be a more composed person, a more rational person who doesn't fly off the handle so quickly if he were to be sober, if he were not to consume as much liquor and beer as he did. But let's get off of that. We're going to talk about the solution to the problem that I had in my life. The drinking problem that I had in my life. Gosh, this is exactly what happened. I was at my sister's apartment, and I went into her bedroom, and I dropped down to my knees, and I spoke to God. I cried out to the Lord, and I said, God, I have a problem, a drinking problem. And I don't think that I can stop drinking. I don't believe that I can quit by my lonesome, on my own accord, by myself. I said, Lord, please give me the strength and please help me to quit drinking. I don't want to drink anymore. I want to stop drinking. And God spoke to me. God spoke to my heart. And he said, Jesse, if you do not stop drinking, then you will die. He said he was going to cut my life short. If I did not quit consuming alcoholic beverages, I would die young. Those were the exact words that I felt in my heart. And I said, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but if you help me, then I will try. And that's how I did it. I quit drinking cold turkey, not by my own accord, not by myself, because I had the power of God on my side, because God put his hand, he touched his hand upon my life, and he took away the desire that I had for beer, the desire that I had for liquor. He removed that from my mind. He removed it from my heart, and he took it away from me. And then I thought about myself. and I removed myself from situations where I would be surrounded by temptation. I stopped going to parties. Why? Because there would be beer and liquor at those parties, and I didn't have the strength to turn those things down. If somebody had offered me a beer, I would have been tempted to drink it, and chances would be that I would have broken my pact with God. So, I eliminated temptation from my life, and I eliminated access. The enablers in my life, the people that supplied me with the alcohol that I used to consume, I cut them out of my life. I told them that if they wanted to be in my life, they were going to have to accept the fact that I was going to be living sober and free of alcohol. Now here's the kicker. Remember how I told you that you were going to find out who your friends were? Well, there was a lot of people that dropped me. They said, wow, you're a real wet blanket, man. You're a real downer. You don't drink anymore. You don't party anymore. You're not fun to hang around with. You're not fun to be around. You're boring and you're lame. I don't want to be around you anymore. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. That's it. And those people, I don't miss them. I'm glad that they're not in my life anymore. I can only hope that they sought help for their problems, whatever issues they had. But I wasn't going to let them drag me down with them. You know how they say that misery loves company? Why do you think that a lot of people will set up rules for themselves, guidelines? For instance, somebody will say, I'll only drink if other people are drinking. Or I'll never drink if I'm the only one in the room. Maybe there's got to be 2 or more people in the room in order for me to be drinking alcohol. If you have to set up rules and you have to make up guidelines that you have to adhere to and abide by, think about your life. Rethink your life's purpose and your life's goals. Because if you're setting up rules for yourself, you might have a problem with alcohol. And it might be a real issue. So you should definitely look into it.